thanks for joining today, Kevin. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I am in Miami, Florida, and I do all things real estate pretty much. Our main business is the finance and mortgage company, and then we do a lot of investing. So we play in the investor world across the nation. And I just call myself a real estate professional because after so many years, you branch off and you start flipping properties. You have Airbnbs, you have regular properties that you landlord. We develop a commercial lending side of the business, so private money side of the business. So if it's real estate, we got our hands in it pretty much.
Yeah, nice. And I'd love to know a little bit more about, before we started working together, what were you working on? What'd your business look like? And kind of what were some of the things you were struggling with when it came to your brand beforehand?
So because I have so many different verticals, and it's not just flipping properties or lending money on the mortgage side, it was being able to take all the different strategies and messages and teachings and different niches that we have within the real estate community and have like a cohesive system to be able to pump out content, attack the different target markets that we have. So that was always the biggest challenge, to be able to find, I know how to do it, right? If I was talking to a realtor, I know exactly what I need to tell them. If I was talking to an investor, I know exactly what I need to tell them. If I was talking to somebody that wanted to learn how to do Airbnbs or flip properties, I know exactly what to tell them, or a first-time home buyer. But creating now a system and a process and a team that can take what I know and can identify it the same way and be able to get it out there in a cohesive way, that was always the challenge. So being able to now go through this process and create the leverage of it not just falling all on my shoulders was a huge relief.
Yeah. And I know, like, when we first started working together, you had done a lot of work on your brand and on the visual identity, as well as kind of the messaging and that sort of thing. So where did that come into play? And I guess when it comes to the consistency piece and it all kind of following on your plate, like, what were you doing for your content prior to working with us?
Yeah, so I have a great creative director that I hired and came up with my brand, which I'm actually really happy with. So that was a big thing on when I was trying to build out a team, that someone can take the existing brand that I was happy with, that I worked on with my creative director, and spend a nice little chunk of change creating. How can we then now take that and run with it in the rest of the content and the rest of the social media marketing and general marketing that we do? The challenging pieces were like getting virtual assistants, which I've been doing for years, and hoping that they all had the skill sets that I was looking for to take the brand and take the message and take our expertise and be able to execute. That was tougher than what I expected, being that I have so many other different initiatives and different things that I got to do, that taking somebody from scratch and hoping they had the different skill sets plus the vision and the strategy was more challenging than I thought. That's what I was doing for years. And we had a little bit of traction and it was good enough, but it wasn't what I felt I needed.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you said two important things there. Number one, like, you had, we work with people that don't necessarily have a defined brand, as well as people like yourself that already have that dialed in. So, I mean, we can work from any angle, but when you're coming in with a brand that you've already put some equity into and you've already put the time into defining it, it can be really hard to kind of pass that buck to somebody else and get the quality you need back, right? And I know that was kind of something that we talked about in the beginning. And then you also, I mean, like you said, you're no stranger to VAs and building systems and building teams and scaling that way, but you tried to have the VAs in the content creation side of it, right? And just kind of kept hitting a wall with that. It wasn't quite to the level you needed. So those two things being said, I guess, like, what did you notice right away when we started working together, and what were some of the things that were able to start moving the ball forward for you?
Well, similar to what I do on the ops side of our business and helping our consulting clients, I was like, there's got to be a me out there that does what I do on the systems and ops sides, but for the marketing side, where I don't have to reinvent the wheel, that there's already an established system that I can just plug into and leverage what I've done, right? So if I go up and do a training, or if I do a podcast show, or if I even do a simple video, there's got to be someone that has that blueprint that can take this and say, oh, we can do 30 different things with this, which now leverages me to be omnipresent, be in different places, and not have to do something 30 times. That was like huge for me. So I was on the hunt for a while and I was trying to create it myself. And it was just another SOP I had to create myself. So that was the biggest takeaway when I ran into you and we got together and you were like, this is what we do and how we do it. I'm like, perfect. Where have you been?
Yeah. And I think that's vital, right? Like, even if you have the SOPs or like, you know how to build SOPs and you know how to do it and you could do it, it's still going to take you time, like any other system or employee that you would bring in your business, to get them up to speed, to dial that in, to get the tweaks out, right? And it's like, is that really the best use of your time? Just because you could do it doesn't mean that you should, right? Yeah. And I think the other differentiator we're talking about too, right before actually we jumped on this call, was the difference in taking a VA and trying to put them in a very specified skill set, right? So like with us, and when you came on board, right, you got a dedicated video editor, somebody that had experience in the creative side, knew what they were doing from the technical side, and then we're trained on these systems to kind of handle the rest. And I think that's probably one of the biggest differentiators, is like not trying to take a VA that doesn't necessarily have that skill set or experience and trying to plug them into something that doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I'm noticing the video editing mindset is creative, but yet systematic. And I think there's something to that, right? The fact that they edit and they can take something raw and bring it in and make it actually something that makes sense, right? The magic is in the editing, have 90% of the time. I think that mind and how that works translates into following the rest of the path that you've laid out and you've helped me with. And then now I can bring my people in and say, this is working great for us. Now check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So let's talk business specifically, right? Because I know that you were coming on board, you had these different verticals, but at the time you were also getting ready to launch kind of what you're doing now and the new offer. So I guess, like, what was some of the biggest success or wins that you saw once that content started going out?
Omnipresence and positioning has really helped closing deals to the next level. The fact that I would always get that, oh yeah, I saw your video on Instagram or whatnot, but now I'm getting the LinkedIn, I'm getting the Facebook, I'm getting, I saw you on YouTube. I'm now starting to hear people on different platforms that I wasn't putting time and energy into focusing on before. So I now start to really understand that word omnipresence, right? You think that everybody only plays in the world that maybe you gravitate the most to, but then you find out like, really, you saw me on LinkedIn? Like, I don't think I've logged into my LinkedIn in like 2 weeks. Like, so that was one thing that I definitely noticed consistently. And then the proof is in the pudding. Just, we closed an investor that wants us to place their money in private loans for our private lending division. So just right off of there, we were able to get a 7-figure deal going, and we're able to now also pick up on the investment side. The credibility package is huge when we're making offers, where they're looking me up and they're saying, well, who's this person? Like, can I trust them? So from that end, we picked up just in the last month one deal that they specifically said, oh, I sat and watched about 30 minutes of your videos. So let's do this. Like, let's sign the contract. And it's funny, like, you go in there and you have your process of establishing know, like, and trust. And I went in there and I was like, oh, all right, I didn't even have to go into what I usually go into to be able to lock in that deal. So from the different verticals, I'm now starting to notice how it's actually bringing in dollars and cents, which at the end of the day is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, that's everything, right? It's to make sure that our efforts are actually converting and driving the ROI. So that's awesome. I love to hear that. I guess at the end of it, like, what would you say if we were doing an infomercial, like your standard late night infomercial? What is the biggest before and after claim you could make from working with us?
Now I'm actually excited to create a ton of content, where before it was, oh man, I did this class and I recorded it, or I have this idea and I want to create content around it, but that is going to be a world of tasks and things that I need to figure out. Now I'm like, this idea, I can schedule that on my calendar on a Saturday, knock it all out. And for the next 4 to 5 months, it's going to be pumping out there systematically. And that right there is a good feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And in closing, like, someone out there watching this, kind of on the fence, not really sure how the content piece plays a role in their business or if this is the right move and working with us, what would you say to them?
I think everybody's looking for the magic pill, right? That gives you a six pack and a couple $1 million in the bank and the perfect person to go into your head and pull it out and make everything you want happen. That's probably never going to happen, right? You're never going to find all that. But aligning yourself with the right people and aligning yourself with people that understand what leveraging and the social media monster that the world lives in now, right? That you can be in front of thousands of people and you never know when one of your messages sparks a whole world of opportunity. How can you not start working towards building that team and you making it easy with meeting you and you bring the team to the table? Then I can go ahead and do what I do best is a shortcut that probably saved me another couple years in figuring it out on my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And you said something really important there, leverage, right? And I think that is one thing that you've really leaned into and that you understand really, really well is the difference between the input of the time that you're giving and the output that you're getting from that, right? And you always had those pieces of your business where you're able to put in that input and get 10x back for the time you were putting in. And now you've got that multiplied on the front end of your business with the content. So excited to see what's next for you. And anything else in closing?
No, I mean, I'm definitely going to be sending you all my real estate connects that want to go virtual like I am. And this is just for every industry as well. It doesn't even have to be mine. I don't see how people are not out there sharing what they know and figuring out how that can be chopped up and leveraged and designed and flipped 1,000 different ways so that you do it once, but it touches, X fold, 100 times fold. So that's the name of the game. And I'm glad I went through this whole process, and we'll see in a year, we'll do one of these again and we'll see how far it went.
Yeah, definitely. And if people want to connect more, where should they go?
Go direct to me, even though I have a team that monitors and posts and they're the ones out there managing the platforms, all direct messages and inboxes. They let me know and notify me. So you will speak directly to me. You can find me at K Jimeno on all the major platforms or Kevin Jimeno, and all direct messages will get to me within 24 hours.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, G.